And Black Dragons, though, when it came to trying to compensate against these crit builds, against the sustain and healing, what do you think that Black Dragons needed to do in order to try and find the upper hand in those engagements?
It's really tough because it felt like they were doing everything right, at least almost, you know, because they were so close to winning those fights and it just didn't come together, and maybe, you know, a bit smarter in the early game, you know, secure the objectives a bit tighter, and it would have been a different story, because all they needed was a tiny bit of a snowball, you know, just a little bit of a lead and they would have crushed the fights. But they never got it, and they came so close, but then DJ and Afro never got low, and he just, you know, with the Shield of Rigor, they just kept chasing people down. It's actually kind of funny to watch, but it was painful.
We saw oShip diving the backline with the Robin. Kliz was doing a fantastic job baiting a lot of cooldowns, getting the health regen from his kit, as well as baiting out the important Kraken, which allowed, actually, Black Dragons to slightly get back into the game around that Fire Giant whenever Eager just got clumped up a little bit too close together around that Fire Giant pit. They all grouped up against Nann's Vulcan ultimate, and that's when things started to turn around.
And oShip on the Robin jungle, how do you think that that fared for him in particular?
I felt like he in such a short amount of time, I think he's picked up a very good understanding of the character, and you saw him on several occasions go to Zapman and kill Zapman. I think every death Zapman had was because oShip came up to him and he sundered him, and there was a fight early on where he was level 9, he was behind Zapman, he only had boots 2, and he 100-0'd him on his own, just completely, and they got a great fight off that, and that's the power of it, you know? I think he shouldn't be scared to pick it again. Would
you prefer to see him try and look more towards the Pernicus, though, in the jungle? Should he opt for some kind of jungle gameplay? Do you think that, like, the Sunder Robin, if he were to run it again, that's where the emphasis should be?
I think so. It's hard to say. You know, when Afro gets ahead, she's obnoxious, she's difficult to deal with, she doesn't die, and she can punish you very hard. And there's nothing worse than when she doesn't die, you put everything into her, and then she heals up. And then she kills your team. And
that's something that DJ likes to employ in his strategies. He likes to play strategies that gets into the opponent's heads, whether it's the Bastet, the Chang'e, and now the Aphrodite. He can make almost any god work with his teammates. It's more about messing up the flow of the enemy team, and this is just another way of doing it.
If you're Eager, though, would you be 100% satisfied with your performance from game number 1?
Absolutely not. It's hard to, you know, we don't know how serious they took that. We don't know whether that's a Premier strat or something they're just trying to see, you know, as you said, against the lowest tier team. And it wasn't bad. We all know that they can do better. There were a couple of team fights towards the end that were a bit messy, but the early game was exactly what they needed to do. So clearly it's something they've practiced before, and they knew how to play the early and mid game, but the late looked a bit harder than I think they expected it to be.
And that certainly came true for Eager. They were clinging on for so long, just trying to find the better hand in those engagements. Actually, a couple of the listen-ins that we panned to for Eager, they were having a lot of difficulty as far as trying to secure an objective was concerned because of Black Dragons just barely holding on to the last pick second.
They were doing a great job kiting on the form of Black Dragon, making sure that Eager couldn't really lock down that one primary target, killing them, and then finding the rest of the objectives. And then whenever Eager did manage to find that pick, Black Dragons did a good job delaying the tactics, finding the 1-for-1 afterwards, prevented Eager from closing the game out at the pace that they really wanted to. You know, for a 45-minute game to happen in game number 1, both of these teams have to be feeling a little bit exhausted after that first game.
And with the picks and bans underway for game number 2, like we said at the start of this all, Black Dragons' mental fortitude, that's really what it's going to boil down to as to whether or not they'll be able to find the bounce back and return the first loss against Team Eager.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see if they opt for the Aphrodite ban. Whether or not they think it's a good pick or not, I mean, they didn't. But if it was me, I'd be so frustrated with that game that I would just want to go on, regardless of whether I thought she was the best character or the worst. It was just so, I mean, that was just for me to watch, and to play against it must have been even worse. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually go for the Afro again.
Sticking to their guns, banning the same gods compared to the last game. If Eager get the Aphrodite again, I'm expecting Black Dragons to go for more of an anti-sustain composition. Maybe look for the Odin, the Sobek, Bacchus, whatever it takes to really shut down the healing out of that god.
But whether or not Eager chooses to show Aphrodite in the first 3-pick selection, if you're Black Dragons, do you just go ahead and pick for the anti-heal? Or do you just let it fly?
Not quite yet, until Team Eager commit to the Aphrodite. There's still a lot of gods that you can run for that anti-healing. Those 3 gods that I mentioned before, not to forget about Osiris. Serket was banned away, so that's not available. But Eager electing to lock in HughZ very early in the draft phase.
And HughZ provides so much AoE presence inside of the jungle fight control, and I think eager was struggling a little bit throughout those jungle fights in game number 1, where they just couldn't really have the full-on enclosure that they would have ideally looked for in that jungle.
Yeah, I feel like HughZ, it's a very robust pick right now. He's good at kind of all stages of the game, and it's a very Zapman god. You know, you can take the 1v1s, you can be aggressive, and everyone knows that, you know, that famous clip of Zapman getting the trip bounce in the jungle, and you know, it's a pick that doesn't give anything away for the composition and allows them to play against whatever Black Dragon's going to pick up next.
I think it was also to take it away from MarcelZ. It was difficult for Eager to dive the backline out of Black Dragons because of all the suns raining down. MarcelZ, he's known for playing the Rama, but that last game, he elected to go for more of a team fight god, and that's the reason why Zapman first picks this god.
But with Black Dragon's response of the Bellona and Fafnir, how do you feel about this Bellona selection now going the way of what I'm assuming will be Kliz?
I feel like Divios did a lot of work with it, so taking away from them is probably a nice idea. And, you know, you can never really go wrong with the Bellona. So I think if they have this Bellona in place of their solo in the last game and then go for the same sort of draft, because it was successful. You know, it was so close to working, and I think they shouldn't be scared to pick what they picked last time.
Ratatoskr, a guy we haven't seen in quite a long time, actually, whether it was the jungle or the solo lane. Divios and djpernicus are known to play the little squirrel god, so still not really certain where that god's going.
What's the likelihood, you'd say, Ataraxia, for the Ratatoskr going the way of Divios?
I mean, I hope it is, because I think Divios on Rat is one of the, it's one of the most, you know, it's beautiful, you know, he's so good at the character, but so is DJ, so it's a very strong flex pick, but I do hope it is Divios, because he's so, Rat's a fun solo laner, you know, there's usually a lot of action around him, because people are trying to kill him, or he's trying to kill you.
The Acorn stun into Bellona could also be a high priority target for Divios should he opt for the Ratatoskr. I agree with you 100%. It would be a ton of fun to watch him pop off in the solo lane with Rat, but whether or not that's going to happen is a completely different story. But now for Black Dragons, they don't have a hunter selection quite yet. If you're eager, are you banning away hunters from MarcelZ?
I would say so. I mean, maybe they just want to see his ROM, you know, everyone's been banning it against him, and I really want to see it, so maybe they feel cocky, they're one game up, they let him have whatever he has, so Zapman can have the 1v1 he's always wanted, you know, it's not unthinkable, right?
This isn't Season 1 Zapman, though, and whether he takes up the 1v1, I'm not necessarily certain will actually be a priority for him.
I don't think so, because it's more focused around the mid lane. Poseidon doesn't necessarily have the best clear right off the bat, so looking to take away some of the mid options from Black Dragons, Isis would contest the potential clear against the Poseidon.
And if they opt for a slight sustained composition with the Isis, they can also be looking for the early objectives, and immediately Isis ban coming through the way of eager, they've certainly done their homework.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for whatever Black Dragon tries to choose here. Susano is he's been very successful, but he is quite hit and miss in how he achieves pressure. If he gets behind, then he does nothing. If he gets ahead, then he seems like the best character in the game. And with Ra and Isis banned, you know, the pressure mids that really allow him to shine are running, you know, there's fewer and fewer.
Surprisingly enough, Cupid hovered over by Black Dragons. MarcelZ still not going for that ROM pick, electing to go for more of this team fight presence. That cripple from the Fields of Love will really make it difficult for either Divios or djpernicus on the Ratatoskr.
I think Cupid as well is it's a hailed counter pick to HughZ. They chose to go for the Medusa anyway, which I think is the better team fight character. But Cupid is definitely something you consider with HughZ. Maybe they're doing that to scare him a little bit, but Medusa in the end, and I think that's the better choice. As
much of a staple god as Rom is for MarcelZ, I think in the long run, it's probably better to just opt for the team fight scenario, and that's exactly what Medusa can provide for the side of Black Dragons. You've got the Susano setup, you have the Fafnir and Bellona to be your front line and take composition, but what are we expecting to see out of Eager here?
Well, it looks like they're going for their solo lane pick. Potentially, Xing hovered over. Ratatoskr still flexible potentially, and I still would think that DJ could potentially run Poseidon in the jungle as well, knowing Eager that they can run almost anything they want.
What happens if Aphrodite comes through again?
I'm just gonna walk off the set.
Just like that?
If DJ plays Aphrodite.
Okay, fair enough. I feel like Black Dragons might go ahead and walk off the stage as well if they have to deal with that Aphrodite again. But with the Xing 10, there's a lot of thought process being put into this pick, last couple of picks for Eager. The Nike hovering now being a thing. And where would you imagine the Xing 10 and the Nike to go if both those picks are selected?
I would imagine it should probably be Xing solo in Nike support. I don't think Xing, I mean, there's very few players who see success with him in support, Kawas being one of them, and maybe Aror's another. But I think Nike just feels like Aror style.
I feel it would be the Xing though, because it's easier to set up Poseidon as a support from Xing. You find the easy knockup. Nike can knock up as well, but the leap takes such a long time to confirm and land, and having the Nike in the soul lane can passively farm away will help you get to the passive stacks that much quicker.
And with Thoth being the final selection on the side of Black Dragons, maybe this will be the CC presence that they've really been looking for all along in those jungle engagements. So before we get head into game number 2, Ataraxia, who do you have?
I still prefer Black Dragon's draft. I think that Eager will win this though, because they've demonstrated that they are, you know, they're eager, and I do prefer the draft from Black Dragon, but
I gotta give it to Eager.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to Eager here. Their draft is not necessarily the best, but the players, I think, got a slight edge.
I think the experience will give Eager the slight edge as well, but now to find out whether or not Black Dragons will be going home in the quarterfinals, it's going to be Aggro and it's going to be HughZ bringing you guys game number 2.
The desk is all eager. We are eager as well, Aggro, to see this game.
I sure am, and this is a pretty standard Eager draft, though. I still suspect that it's going to be Nike in that solo lane. Divios seems to love this character and what it brings to the table in the early game in terms of pressure, and then in the late game in terms of what the passive provides for your team. Aror on the Xing, if that is the case, does have enough setup potential, I think. There's plenty of CC in Eager's draft here. Basically, everyone does have some sort of CC on their side. So I'm not worried about Xing in that support role in that sense. I like that he's going to be there, giving that damage reduction to the Medusa with the Furious Roar. I think this draft for Eager is just fine.
Yeah, it's still Poseidon in the mid lane for best. It was so strong, so instrumental to their win last time. Him and Divios combining just disrupted everything Black Dragons wanted to do, and simply the slow from the Whirlpool and Gem of Isolation is so huge.
So it is going to be Aror on the Warrior. So this gives Zapman or TheBest, whoever Aror decides to lane with there, a little bit more pressure in their lane, getting that early clear from the Nike, and as well as just team fight control. That ultimate just gives you such a big HP shield. You're just talking about slows that TheBest can provide. How about that of Aror on the support? Can definitely just jump into the middle of the team fight and disrupt everything that Black Dragons are trying to do.
At the same time, looking at Black Dragon's draft is not bad on its own. You know, you have the Fafnir that PIBE played pretty well last game. Nann, rather than on the Vulcan, he's going to be on the Thoth this game. A little bit more escapability, a little bit more range damage, so he doesn't have to be as close to the action as he was previously, where he was getting caught out by Divios. And Kliz on this Bellona, we saw what Divios could do last time. Now it's his turn, and he should actually have a pretty free lane.
Yeah, I like this selection quite a bit for Nann in the mid lane. Just giving him a little bit more space, like you said, being able to get out of the danger that he was in so often. And he showed the ability to make these game-changing plays with the ultimate. May as well give him the opportunity to do so on a safe god on top of one that can make those big play potentials.
oShip and Kliz winning the bit of the lane pressure there, and they see that Eager's gone for the speed buff invade, or at least just going to take down those small creeps to get themselves a little bit of experience. They're going to rotate here now and pick up the buff, but Eager going to get the overall experience advantage as they can take these Fire Giant Elementals. Such a smart play.
Just knowing exactly what it takes for them to get level 2 and understanding they didn't have time to try and secure that speed buff outright. Not a lot of burst damage after Best and use that Tidal Surge. Now that he gets back to lane with that Whirlpool, a lot easier for him to clear the wave and start to rotate early.
Zapman so aggressive there, jumping onto MarcelZ. Does have a full minion wave to back him up, but still, it's kind of looking a little bit like the old Zapman, just jumping in, looking to take the one-on-one fight.
Well, I don't blame him. He's probably feeling himself after the end of game 1, where he just puts his foot down and says, enough, we're winning this game. He definitely has the potential to do something just like that on this HughZ. HughZ, one of the characters that has seen a lot of play as of late, particularly here at the Masters LAN and the Gauntlet LAN that preceded this one. Just has that game-changing potential, even without the late game. Just one mid-game ricochet that gets a lucky bounce here and there is enough to completely change the tides of a game.
He felt kind of out of favor when the penetration was taken off of his 2, the Mark of the Golden Crow. Everyone's like, okay, this character's trash now, never going to play him again. Really sucks. His ricochet got a little bit of adjustment, and then he kind of like has been sneaking back, and everyone's been like, this character's still really good.
That's what happens to basically every character that gets nerfed. Look at Ratatoskr. Ratatoskr, a character that hasn't seen a lot of play as of late because he saw a lot of nerfs after his dominant performance for the majority of the end of Season 3, so in the beginning of Season 4. So DJ saying this character's still good, Zap saying the same about HughZ, and I gotta say I agree with both of them.
Purple buff? Oh, I thought Nann might have stolen that one. But it looks like he and PIBE just going to look to force them away from that purple buff. They lose their small creep still, so little experience advantage is still going in favor of Team Eager, but not complete control of the enemy jungle.
Smart play there from Nann, just resetting that buff, forcing Aror and Zapman off of the purple buff. Divios getting the better end of Kliz for the time being, but Kliz does have that Death Toll and the cleave auto attacks after using the bludgeon, so that's a lot of HP that he can gain back fairly quickly, whereas Divios has to rely on that HP 5 generated by Xingchen's passive.
So Xingchen's 1 as well actually gives damage, makes your enemies do reduced damage. So if he hits Kliz with that one before Kliz goes to clear the wave, it's actually a lot harder for the Bellona to full clear the wave. oShip has rotated out, though he has hit level 5, but Divios hits it just at the same time. Kliz a little bit early on that Eagles rally. Divios, though, is still going to fall down here for first blood. Cracking out from TheBest, just a little bit off the mark. Brazil, once again, though, claims the first drop of blood.
Really unfortunate there for Divios. Uses that jump right as oShip comes into lane. Did hit level 5 at the perfect time, but then couldn't turn around and throw Kliz back towards his tower in time to create enough space for him to try and escape. Best had the right idea, trying to come over and help out his solo laner who was calling out that he was in trouble. And he does get the purification beads from oShip in that scenario. So the stuns from djpernicus, the knockup from Aror, that could spell an easy death for oShip. Even without the Kraken from TheBest, that Whirlpool is good enough to lock down Susano, who really relies on his mobility to keep him safe.
Mid lane going to get found out. I thought Kliz got back to lane without using his teleport there, but he did in fact use it. I was going to say that's a big win for Black Dragons with their solo lane having TP and Eager not, because, I mean, we saw the huge plays out of Divios last game where he TPs in, gets to the backline very quickly, but now it's kind of even there, but still, any kind of advantage Kliz can get in this solo lane is important because we saw how dominant Divios was last game.
Without a doubt. That's why I really thought that Divios was going to continue to go for the Warrior and try and make the exact same sort of impact that he did last game. A little bit surprised to see him take the Guardian, but we know that he loves to play the Guardians. That's the thing that's so difficult about Divios is he can play the Guardians. He's like, oh, what is Divios playing these days? You know, Terra, Sobek, Xingchen. Oh, also some Bellona and Osiris and Hercules. And oh, don't forget that he can play Camazotz and Ratatoskr. It's like, what doesn't this guy play? It's so difficult to find the right lane matchup, and that's what makes him so strong, is that he can find the right matchups in lane in order to give his team an advantage.
Ult for ult there on the solo lane, and it looks like Black Dragons were able to steal away the blue. That means in return, though, Eager is able to get these Oracle Harpies.
That is a win for Team Eager, getting that Bellona ultimate out. Divios doesn't really need his at any time soon. That's a team fighting ultimate more than anything else. So that allows djpernicus to potentially put some pressure onto Kliz if he chooses to do so.
Still, at the same time, though, it is showing a level of aggression from Black Dragons that I like to see. You know, not afraid to go towards the enemy camps, not afraid to invade their jungles. Last game, they kind of stalemated with Eager for a little bit, and Eager had the later composition. I'm glad to see them being willing to take it to them early.
I agree. That's an important task, and we talk about it all the time on cast, is being the aggressors instead of being aggressed on. Aror getting aggressed on a bit in the mid lane, but DJ is knocked up, tries to get up into the
Final
Whirlpool,
judgment,
but cannot. Nann able to notch number 2 for Black Dragons.
Excellent work there from Nann, and excellent peel by PIBE to help his mid laner out. Nann was getting a little bit jumped on there. PIBE stuck around, helped him with that Fafnir, kept him alive long enough to use that Final Judgment ultimate to secure the kill on the DJ before he could get up into that tree.
Just using that long-range ult like we were talking about when this draft first came together for Black Dragons. A little bit safer position there that time for the mid laner. Now, he does have to be worried because Auror's damage is going to start to become better and better as he levels up that plan of action, giving him some more HP 5 and more additional damage onto that rend combination. But the problem is that Nann's going to continue to get stronger himself, so he doesn't have to worry too much. He could probably just turn it around under Aror once we hit the mid game.
MarcelZ a little bit behind in this lane, but Zapman's been playing very, very aggressively. A little bit of attention shown to this side of the map as well, but MarcelZ managing to stay alive, not falling into a desperate situation, not feeling like he has to commit to a one-on-one fight. Very disciplined play from the Brazilian hunter.
Best needs to be careful, but that wind siphon from oShip misses. DJ lurking on the top left harpies,
oh
but look
goodness.
at how much damage TheBest took already.
Good stun through the wall there from Nann. Down come the Suns here from Zapman. djpernicus up in the sky. What's his target? He's looking for oShip here, waiting. Oh my goodness, oShip, the teleport perfectly timed, baited out the ultimate from DJ.
Gets right underneath that ultimate from djpernicus. Win there for Black Dragons, not only getting the ultimate of DJ, but Zap as well. Best has to use his Aegis. And what did Black Dragons use? Nothing at all. Not
Look at
dashing
Nann.
forward, trying to find the sun on a Zap, who is just able to get up into the air in time.
But Aror's in some trouble here. PIBE picks up the kill, but the final judgment held it along, and Black Dragon's toying with Eager at this stage.
Now the Gold Fury is the call. DJ no ultimate. Zapman low health and 0 mana. DJ not even going to get in range to try and contest. Black Dragons take the 3-0 lead in kills, and also a gold lead on top of that, courtesy of that Gold Fury, now up about 1,500 gold.
And this has been the big part of the pressure in the solo lane. Kliz has managed to keep Divios contained in this lane, whereas last game, once Divios was kind of uncaged and unleashed from this solo lane, he completely shifted the dynamic of the game in Eager's favor. Kliz has managed to keep him contained thus far, but this Xing 10 is a little bit of a ticking time bomb, not so much as some other late game carries, but once he starts to get involved in the fight, it starts to get a little bit tankier and a little bit harder to kill. It's going to be very, very difficult for Black Dragons to deal with.
Which again is why I'm surprised not surprised that Black Dragons went for the early Bellona pick, but for Divios taking the Guardian. Now, it's just about how the overall team composition works, though, in these team fights, is how well can Divios frontline with a character like Xing Chen as opposed to Nike. Very, very potent on the Xing Chen in the later stages of the game. You said it's not the late game hyper carries, and you're certainly right in that degree, but as far as the late game annoyances go, Xing Chen is near the top, and that's what Divios is looking to be. He just has to make sure that the rest of his team can get out of the early stages of the game close to even.
oShip, for me, in that fight also did a lot of work. So much damage onto TheBest early, kept him away from the fight, kept him from really getting to a position to get off a good Kraken or even get a nice Whirlpool down there. Tremendous work from the Susano, and that's really one of his strengths, is his mobility and his ability to get to the backline.
And CC as well. It was his Typhoon knockup that sets up Nann for the easy final judgment, which puts down Aror. You're right, oShip having an excellent game thus far, and had a pretty good one on the Robin as well. Not as much of an impact, I think, as the rest of Black Dragons had, but this time around taking the early Susano pick and really making it show why this character is so highly prioritized across all regions.
Zapman and MarcelZ, the lane matchup thus far being pretty even. Zapman a little bit of an advantage in that regard. He's had a little bit more pressure than Medusa has. Medusa clear, not quite online at this stage. HughZ having a little bit of an easier time of it, but still, you've got to give some respect to MarcelZ, you know, not freaking out. You said these international teams can sometimes get in their own heads about playing these players that they've seen on stream so often or playing in these big tournaments. But MarcelZ, you know, yes, he's respecting Zapman, but he's not nervous. He's not afraid of him.
No, you can tell just by the way MarcelZ has been playing this entire matchup, and MarcelZ is definitely one of the guys on Black Dragons that has quite a bit of fanfare around him, even though Zapman getting the better end of him thus far, forces the dash out, but doesn't decide to drop the Suns. Both players have the red buff available, but it's Zapman's Ichaival that is the big difference maker. Extra attack speed, extra pen and power for him, but the big thing is that he's taking power away from MarcelZ in this instance. But look at the bait coming out of MarcelZ. oShip rotating in, trying to bait Zapman.
There's his jump. djpernicus in the ultimate as well. Comes crashing down but doesn't hit anyone. Dashes forward to MarcelZ, but there's the Petrify, and now DJ's in trouble. oShip cleans him up with MarcelZ.
DJ has not had a very good game so far on this Ratatoskr. 0 and 2. The first death wasn't a big deal, but that one, zero chance Zapman ever gets in range to follow up off of that dash forward. And DJ just has not been able to find the mark with 2 ultimates in a row now.
We don't say this very often when North American, European teams go up against international teams, but are Eager suffering from some nerves after how close that last game were?
I don't think so. This team is they've been around for so long. They've been around the block. I don't think they're necessarily worried. I think that this is just Black Dragons playing better right now. This is a team, Eager, that doesn't usually like to get the huge leads early on. Yes, they value pressure, but not necessarily to fight you as much, but to move you around the map and then take what you will give them. Eager right now is just kind of getting it shoved by Black Dragons. They're right up in their face, and they're trying to make them fight, and Black Dragons just ending up on the better end right now.
A positive note for Eager is that basically all the golden experience differential has been through this Gold Fury that Black Dragons were able to take. Other than that, Eager's still farming well, still farming efficiently, getting the experience they need to stay relevant in this game. And the later it goes, the more potent Divios is going to become. They have to remember, though, the later this game goes, the more potent Nann's Thoth is going to be.
Exactly. Now, Eager does have that Nike in the support role, so there is going to be some extra movement speed and power for the rest of the team as the game goes on. So both teams have these late game options, but overall, I think Black Dragons' late game draft is better than that of Team Eager. And the fact that Black Dragons up 4-0, now looking for another objective, is a good sign for the Brazilian team.
Aror fighting it along there with oShip, actually forced into his ultimate, and Eager's been really willing to just throw out these ultimates, and Black Dragon's been really disciplined in not responding to them.
That's a big one down too for Aror. That's the main idea behind this Nike support, is being able to use that ultimate to get into the thick of things and bait out ultimates, bait out abilities. Without that Defender or Sentinel of Zeus, it's going to be difficult to do so.
djpernicus taking some damage. oShip forcing away the jungler of Team Eager. Aror trying to keep Black Dragons some poked here while they're trying to do the Portal Demon. Black Dragon's not willing to commit. Nann with that Final Judgment charging over the wall. Not going to release it just yet, but still he is ready and willing to deal damage to Eager.
TheBest has the Kraken available, waiting for it. oShip dashes in. There's the ultimate over the top from Kliz. Zapman already very, very low, and he's going to fall to MarcelZ.
Kraken out from TheBest. Here comes DJ as well, crashing down. Here's the Eager we wanted to see as Aror picks up one. Kliz is low. Nann has picked up Aror. oShip, Nann, Brazil. They're taking it to Eager right now, and that is a 4-for-1 trade.
And now they've got pressure in the mid lane as well. Kliz able to escape with 1 HP. What a team fight from Black Dragons, funneling all of Eager through that tiny little corridor into the middle lane. And it was Nann with that hieroglyphic assault just tearing through every member of Eager. 8-1. Black Dragons now in the lead. Portal Demon gonna go their way as well. That gold lead now about 4,000 gold at just the 13.5-minute mark.
This Spear of Desolation is so huge for Black Dragon, specifically for Nann. So much penetration, so much power, cooldown, and that passive, if he's getting kills like he is, he's reducing all his cooldowns yet again. Just a huge, huge item, huge power spike very early on for this Thoth.
Very early to complete a Spear of Desolation at before 14 minutes. And now he's got Soul Trap as well. That's another 65 magical power on top. That Soul Stone going to be paying big dividends if he's able to time it well and use it on all 3 shots of that hieroglyphic assault or the evade and punish. There's a ton of magical damage available for Nann right now, and he's been a big reason why Black Dragons are on top. But I agree with you, it's been oShip on the Susano, setting it up time and time again for not only himself, but his mid laner, the rest of the team. MarcelZ's positioning was key in that fight. And the fact that they only have 1 death right now and it's onto the support, who doesn't really care about dying early that much, as long as he can stay even, is a great sign.
Oh, oShip just barely able to teleport outside of the range of that whirlpool there. Otherwise, he might have been in a very nasty position. But oShip's doing what DJ usually does and getting in there, being an annoyance to the enemy team and doing enough damage so that the rest of his team can clean up the kills.
And they've done just that so far. Look at this kill spread. It's onto the 3 main damage dealers. That's exactly what you want. Kliz trying to secure the speed buff away from djpernicus, but is unable to do so 2v1. But look at this, because there's 2 members on the right side, it's Black Dragons on the gold.
Typhoon comes out, the Kraken as well. Black Dragon secure the Gold Fury. oShip very low here, but they're going to be fine with this. Aror jumping on the spot. They don't want to take a fight here, though. Black Dragon's trying to get out. Here comes DJ on that tree. Who's he looking for? Just the minion wave, so Black Dragons get a clean Gold Fury.
Nann now in a bit of trouble. Divios forces out the Purification Beast, but Divios is all alone here in the mid lane, stunned out and punished. Divios in the wrong spot, number 9 now for Black Dragons. And how about the confidence from this team? I mean, the confidence to lose a game like they just did that was so close, and then 1 misstep that cost them the entire game. And then in this one, not only come out swinging, but just dare Eager to contest them on a Gold Fury. That is so much trust in your team to secure that for you and then not lose the engagement after that. This team Black Dragons is just so impressive in their mental side of the game. And that's not talking about how well they're executing the mechanical side of it as well.
And this is what happens when their mid laner doesn't get so far behind. It's not constantly getting dove by a solo laner and jungler. Nann, 3, 0, and 4. Second highest in the player damage. Only 200 behind oShip, who's hit every single player on Eager at least 5 times already. And now he's top player damage. Just Nann having an excellent performance on this Thoth.
And what did we say last game? It was Nann who needed to step up a little bit. His team fight was being a little bit, lacking in terms of what the rest of Black Dragons were doing. He makes 1 great play and Black Dragons look like they could win the game. This time, he's playing lights out so far this game. He's been absolutely great, and that's one of the big reasons why Black Dragons is so far ahead.
I'm looking, though, at Eager. They're still in this one. They're still willing to fight, and a Sunder picked up for Divios here on the Xing 10. Who's the kind of priority target for that Sunder?
Probably Kliz. Could be PIBE as well. I mean, this is just a matter of the late game damage for Eager is lacking in this draft. It's really centered around Zapman alone. DJ not going to be able to bring a lot in terms of late game damage. Divios is a Guardian who's there to chip away at you with that percent-based HP damage off of Furious Roar. So it's just trying to augment that late game power coming out of Eager where they are lacking a little bit. And that's the thing, is that This game up for me, if Eager's coming back, it's on the back of Zapman. Best needs to hit a giant Kraken, and Zapman just needs to go crazy in one of these team fights.
Gets the ricochet out there, but a lot of damage comes out from oShip as well. Just keeping that Hunter poked, making sure that he has to play very carefully. Can't be overly aggressive like Zapman wants to be. He is going towards a Fatalis now. He's got Nick Vol and Executioner online as well, so he's going to be starting to swing very, very soon and swing a little bit safer than what he's doing currently. On the flip side of it, though, MarcelZ with a 1-level advantage, 2-0 and 5. Item power spike for him as well.
The Black Dragons need to make a decision right now. Are they grouping and forcing Eager to fight them, or are they continuing to lane and going to try and invade enemy buffs? Right now, they're kind of doing neither. Looks like they finally made the decision to push down this right-hand side, and this is fine. The problem is that Zapman is getting solo farm on that left side. He's going to take that tower without a teleport in from Kliz. So Black Dragons need to do something here, and they're trying to fight.
Aror altered, PIBE altered as well. The Typhoon comes out from oShip, so Best taking a little bit of poke. Zapman still isn't here though, so Black Dragons are fine with not really committing to a fight here. As long as they can get the tower on this right-hand side, they will be fine. If they can find a pick along the way, that's fine as well. And Divios getting munched up here by the Dragon. Spin to win, gets 3, but oShip says, not yet, son. I'm not done with you. Picks up the kill right-hand side tower force to minions, and now it looks like they're looking for the tier 2.
Kliz has the option to teleport to the left side and stop it, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Stun is good onto Aror. oShip teleports in, but can't find the Wind Siphon. Still 4 members strong here from Black Dragons. Zapman is forced out of that left-hand side. He only gets 500 gold. Black Dragons, they get 2,000 on the right-hand side between the two towers.
They're going to get this mid-tier 1 tower as well as Team Eager. Portal Demon's going to fall to Black Dragons, though, and that opens up the Fire Giant pit a little bit if they find another one of these successful team fights.
And they got it. The Portal Demon goes down in Black Dragons' favor. Now that gold lead is 7,000 at this stage of the game. What a game. Almost 8,000. Black Dragons in complete control over the #1 seed in North America.
We were talking after that first game, that tremendous 45-minute effort out of Black Dragons, and we're like, all right, Eager's going to turn it on this game. Eager's going to be like, they're not going to mess around this time. No Aphrodite jungle. It's going to be proper Eager coming out, winning the game, emphatic statement game. It's been the reverse. It's been a statement game for Black Dragons, but now Kliz in trouble on the left, caught in the bad spot, and it's the 2 damage dealers, Zapman and TheBest. Now, this isn't a bad, this isn't horrible for Black Dragons. It isn't some disaster. They just lost Kliz, but look at how frustrated he is with himself in that bottom right player cam. He knows he was in the wrong spot there, and a couple more of those picks is what Eager needs in order to stay relevant in this game. Black Dragons are still okay. They just need to keep their wits about them and make sure they're still in the game. Yeah, not quite enough health online for him, or not enough protections online for him right now to be able to doing that kind of stuff. Last game we saw Eager just invest so much into him towards the end of the game on that Hercules that nearly lost them the game, in fact. This time he's looking to kind of play a similar style, it seems to me. Yeah, I agree with you. While Kliz didn't necessarily do like the crazy player damage or have these insane pulls or objective seals with the boulder, he won a majority of that game for Black Dragons just by absorbing cooldowns consistently, and he wants to try and do the same on Bellona. Bellona is good at absorbing cooldowns, but no one can do it like Hercules, so he's got to be wary of that here in Game 2. Looking at player damage, djpernicus at the bottom by about 400 underneath PIBE, and he's got a relatively damaging build here. I mean, what are you trying to do as a Ratatoskr? It seems to me, with this kind of build especially, you should be looking to hit the soft carries. Well, he's trying to farm right now. This is what happens when DJ falls behind. He goes into power farm mode. Black Dragon's trying to secure their 3rd Gold Fury of the game, and they will do that over the Suns from Zapman and the dot from Divios. That puts that lead closer to 10,000 once more. And oShip going ahead, stealing away the speed buff from Zapman, from djpernicus. Or did DJ secure that? No. No, Black Dragon's got it. Kliz going to use that ultimate deep into the middle lane there. Sunder was onto Aror, taking a lot of damage already. Petrify stuns him out. Final Judgment not enough to finish him, though. But it looks like the rest of the team will. Nann picks him up there with a hieroglyphic assault. Divios in a lot of trouble here as well. PIBE picks up the kill. The tier 2 tower is the target here from the Black Dragons, and that from PIBE is doing work for the rest of his team. The med from TheBest missed Divios. It was just out of range, and that, I don't know if it would have made a big difference, but certainly made sure Divios was dead immediately. Tier 2 tower falls, and now Black Dragons are going for the Fire Giant here, Hughes. Why does Best have a meditation in the first place? That's my first question there, as we see the Fire Giant being taken down by Black Dragons. I guess that he thought that they need another one. Eager's compositions are so well drafted usually, and so, okay, Divios is getting this relic, I'm getting this relic, so we need this relic elsewhere. DJ felt like he needed the extra survivability on the Ratatoskr, being that backline diver like you were mentioning.
but TheBest needs purification beads, man. Look at all the stuns that Black Dragon have and the amount of just displacement between oShip. You've got a stun on a Nann, Kliz, PIBE, MarcelZ. This is a high-risk, high-reward build for TheBest, but when you're this far behind, you really need those defensive relics to keep yourself alive as the mid-mage. And with this build that he's gone for, going for the Fatalis right after the Gem of Isolation, while he has good penetration between the Fatalis, the Pen Boots, and the Dynasty Plate Helm, there's just not a lot of raw power there. The only real power item he has is Gem of Isolation. That's 90 power, yes, but for level 18, on the other side, look at all the power that Nann has. I mean, that is just an overwhelming wealth of power for Nann, whereas TheBest really is just there for utility, and right now Eager needs the damage.
oShip actually burnt his beads there, so it's a little bit of a win for Team Eager, but the Black Dragons are so far ahead at this point, they're not going to mind that one too much. However, it does give Eager an avenue, one little opportunity, and that's all a team of this caliber really needs.
That's true, but Divios did fire off the Sunder to try and find that pick. That's a big one that Eager could really use. Aror in a wrong spot, forced in his ultimate quickly there, but still falling low.
PIBE dives in, so does Kliz. Here comes the Black Dragons. Kliz with the bludgeon, but they're just looking to keep the team away from this Tier 2 tower. Suns come down from Zapman. Tier 2 tower on the left-hand side is going to fall. Black Dragons looking to push this Phoenix. djpernicus is behind them, however.
I think they're going to do it, Hughes. They've got no towers left to get. Only 3 Phoenixes. Nann still has his ultimate. DJ sitting way in the back, trying to find an angle in. There's the ultimate on Divios. It tosses oShip right into the Kraken, and Eager get themselves back on the board.
But Zapman's low. Zapman's dead. Kliz picks him up, and now look in the back line. djpernicus has jumped in. That's his Aegis gone as well. Kliz going in. MarcelZ picks up 1. MarcelZ picks up 2. The left-hand side Phoenix falls down. It's just Divios and djpernicus left to defend. The middle Phoenix is the next target from the Brazilian squad. Divios stunned out. Divios half health, forced to jump away. The middle Phoenix is being shredded here by the Black Dragons.
2 Phoenixes down, and now they're looking towards the Titan.
Are they going for the win?
They're trying to get the wave in on the left-hand side, but I think they're going to try and end the game here.
I mean, they certainly can. They have Fire Giant. They've got Coerce from Fafnir. djpernicus stunned out here, but Black Dragon's sight firmly set here on the Titan. Divios forced to jump away. Kliz goes in. Pernicus is down. The Titan is falling. Brazil wins game number 2.
Eager falls to Brazil. Black Dragons showing that they came here to play.
Oh,
look at the look on their faces. I think they're surprised too, to be honest with you. But with the way they're playing, this should be no surprise to anybody. They've played so well. Yes, Eager has made missteps, but Black Dragons, you have to give credit where it's due. They've looked really, really strong, and now Eager knows that they're on the brink of getting eliminated here.
That was not even like a close win.
No, it wasn't. That was a stomp.
That was a stomp. And I mean, we've seen some close international games. You know,
yes.
Dire was taking it to Energy. They fell down. It was a close game.
Sure.
You know, ALG and Lich T, when they played, it was a relatively close game. This was a one-sided game.
That was unbelievable, man. And another, this is the second time an international team has beaten a North American team. Lich T, like you mentioned, up against ALG at Worlds. Now Black Dragons up against Eager, and they've got a chance to knock out the #1 seed from North America in the quarterfinals.
Absolutely.
The quarterfinals.
It's insanity. Insanity. And they lost game 1 as well. And then they come back and just dominate Eager.
It really wasn't close. I mean, DJ never got a chance to get off the ground. oShip was all over the map on the Susano. Divios was just never relevant on the Guardian. He just never got any pressure. Kliz did a great job of keeping him in lane. MarcelZ just held on against Zapman, was even in that lane as well. Nann was just phenomenal on the Thoth. Best never got a chance to really get off the ground. Aror also, I mean, I keep saying it, but none of them had a chance to even play the game because Black Dragons just did such a good job of choking the farm, choking the objectives, and taking all the fights.
You've seen the game, you've heard our thoughts. Let's take a listen to what our analysts had to say about that game.
It's happened time and time again where the what-if situation always pops up, and that's really the big question that people always seem to ask whenever it's an international team facing off at these LAN events. What if Brazil takes a game off of Eager? But that's not a question anymore. It is a statement that's been made by Brazil, and immediately, Black Dragons with a response with a convincing 13K gold lead.
To come back from a first game loss after a 45-minute game into such a spectacular fashion, Black Dragons secured themselves the first game in this set, and this is the second time so far that an international team has defeated, thus far, at least a North America or European team. There was a best-of-1 set at last year's Worlds where Allegiance fell to Lich T. That was a best-of-1 set, but this time, finding one game, can they find the next one as Black Dragons?
In Ataraxia, I have to get your input on this. What do you feel as though was the real shining point for Black Dragons this go round?
It was just, they were a really good team. I think the time of saying the international teams are not up to par is slowly coming to an end. You know, they played well. They played as well as any NA or EU team could play. And if I was eager, I'd be saying, "Oh ship, we're in trouble."
I was waiting for it, but not quite. That was sly. I'll hand it to you. But I do have to give it to Black Dragons. That was an absolutely superb performance by the Brazilian team, and I don't think anybody would have expected it because, like you mentioned, it does tend to fall back to the whole, are the international teams up to par? And we know that mechanically they've caught up, but it's always just been the lack of experience and international teams not necessarily knowing what to do whenever they fall slightly behind or even when they get the lead. Closing out games has been a difficult part, but that didn't seem like an issue for them this time around, Tolly.
Not at all. They even did a great job shutting down TheBest. Just didn't give him a room to breathe. You were talking about before how Poseidon's not the greatest in the late game, but his damage was just non-existent. It was like around 6,000 at the 20-minute mark.
It was like they were never really getting the opportunity to deal damage. I felt like everyone at Eagle was just running away because they couldn't, you know, they were losing team fights and there was nothing they could do about it, and it's pretty scary. And Black Dragons have had 2 good games now. There were 2 games, one they won and one they definitely could have won. And going into this third set, they've got to be really confident. 2
different styles that Eager showed us this far in this set. The question is it going to be a third different style heading into Game 3?
Whatever style Eager chooses to draw out, I'm sure that they're not looking to play around any longer. So if they're trying to hold something back or figure something out, I don't think that this game number 3 is the time to do it because Black Dragons are bringing it. And if I'm Eager, I'm sweating. Like, I really am.
I would be too. The Thoth play on the Nann was just too much for them to handle. I think Eager really needs to worry about that mid laner coming out of Black Dragons.
And if they want to try and focus more around the mid lane, do you feel as though they're going to opt for as much of a frontline presence, such as the Xing 10 and the Nike? Because this Thoth just seemed unstoppable.
There was just no pressure on him. You know, you have a Xing 10 and a Nike, 2 guys that are great at controlling the game at the later stages, not too much in the early game. There's not too much of a mana pool for Xing 10 to really spam his abilities. So whenever you leave any mid-mage left unchecked, you're going to be having plays like this happen against your team.
And I don't think that I would want to permit such a carry mid laner to Nann for a 3rd time around. The Vulcan, sure, we didn't really get to see too much out of him in game number 1, but that was still a 40+ minute game from the Brazilian Black Dragons, and I just can't stress it enough. It's just incredible watching an international team step it up this heavily at a LAN.
Not to mention it's against Eager, a team that has been known to be so flexible with all their picks and bans, their drafts, their itemization choices, their ability to come back in these games wherever they're so far behind, and now winning the first game. The question is, can they do it in the last and final game to close out the set and head into the semifinals tomorrow for that best of 5?
And closing out the set is certainly in the minds of Black Dragons now at this point in time. And I do have to highlight this man right here, Kliz. That Bellona performance was absolutely superb.
Yeah, he absolutely had a great game. And I think there's in this matchup, there's kind of a sweet irony when it comes to Eager, because leading up to Last Worlds, they scrimmed mostly Latin American and Brazilian teams. That was who they chose to scrim against, and they significantly improved as a result. And I think this is that continued, you know? Yeah, I don't know if they're still currently scrimming them, but there is definitely, you know, they've been learning, and that's predominantly down to Eager.
A lot can be learned from different regions, different play styles, different kind of tendencies and patterns to be recognized, and Black Dragons has certainly caught up, it seems, to at least a North American team, Eager, but his opposition, Kliz Divios, surprisingly played that Xing Chen that last game comparatively to the Nike, where Nike is more relaxed, trying to farm those passive stacks. Xing Chen could provide a little bit more of that pressure, but something we haven't seen him play is one of these aggressive soling gods, such as the Robin, the Osiris. The Bellona from Kliz the last game was really much more impactful, I feel like, for Kliz that game.
And